Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about shell navigation, how you can find your way around the shell. So first off, before we get right to what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be doing some basic definitions. Our first definition will be our shell. So what is a shell? A shell is a program that takes command you enter through your keyboard and passes them to the operating system. These operating systems could be your Windows, your Linux, or your Mac OS. Basically, a shell a program, is a certain program that takes any input, any command that you input using your keyboard, any command you type in using your keyboard, it takes it in, processes it, and then passes it to your operating system. That's basically what a shell is. Then we go to our next definition. What is a terminal? A terminal is a program called a terminal emulator. Basically, this program opens up a window and lets you interact with the shell. That window you open to write all your commands is called your terminal emulator. So let's just go ahead and look at what we're talking about, some practicalities. This, our git bash, is a terminal emulator. This is where we can write our code, we can enter our command, communicate with the shell. Then our cmd, our command prompt, is also a terminal emulator. Here you can write in commands, communicate with the shell. It's going to communicate with our Microsoft, our Windows operating system. Then for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be making use of my git bash, my bash. So what do we want to do now? As you can see, we have started up our terminal emulator. We have started our git bash, our terminal. Let's go ahead and do some typing. So now that we've opened up our git bash, some of you might be wondering, what is bash? What do we call bash? What is the full meaning of bash? Or is bash just a name they gave something called bash? The answer is no. Bash stands for born again shell. That is spelled as born again shell. This is the full meaning of bash. So when you open up your bash, the first thing you will see is a shell prompt. First thing you see is a shell prompt. That is our username. Our username, that is Geeky Eddie. The name of our machine, that is Ming W64, and a $sign. This is the first thing you're going to see once you open up your bash. Anytime you open up your bash terminal, this is the first thing you see: your username, your machine's name, your device name, and the $sign. So let's go ahead and type in some random stuffs. And basically, this bash, this shell, is meant to take in commands. It's meant to take in commands. You can't just type in random stuffs into the shell. So we're going to go ahead and type in random stuffs and see what it's going to do. As you can see, it said command not found. That means this thing that we typed in is not a command. That's why it was not found. So yes, so let's go ahead and print our working directory. As you can see, this is our working directory. We have entered our first command, that is pwd. Then let's list. As you can see, we just listed. So we'll now clear. Now I want to tell you guys about something. If you take a look at your keyboard, you can see the page up, page down, the arrow keys. These arrow keys, whenever you're in your terminal, emulator, the arrow keys serve as buttons that can access your command history. That is, you can use these arrow keys to navigate through your previous commands. As you can see, all the commands that we have entered in this bash before now, we can navigate through them, we can access them using our arrow up and arrow down keys. While our left and right arrow keys, we can use them to navigate to our left and to our right. If you made a mistake in your spelling, you can just go ahead and clear and then correct yourself. Then you can also make use of your mouse. Even though the shell is a command line interface, you can make use of your mouse. Basically, you can use your mouse to copy and paste stuffs. And use your mouse to copy, paste, and do some other stuffs in the shell. So let's get right to our navigation. I want to introduce you guys to 3 basic commands. For those of us that are new to the command line, you want to take note of this. You might want to write this out on a piece of paper, because these are like 3 very important commands that you must never forget. Our first command is, okay, before I list out the commands that I want to tell you guys about, let's talk about how files are arranged. Basically, files in your OS, in your operating system, are arranged in a family tree like kind of structure. Let me go ahead and explain that using, oh no. Okay, I think I can use this registration. Files in your operating system are arranged like this. This is your parent directory. And once you open it up, it opens up another directory. This is your main directory, opens up another directory. Open it up, opens up another directory. Open it up, opens up another directory. And it keeps going on and on and on. So basically, this is how files in your operating system is arranged, like a family tree like kind of structure. That's how it's organized. So let's go ahead and talk about the commands, the 3 basic commands we're going to be making use of. Our first command is called our pwd command. That is our print working directory. Print working directory. If you want to know the directory that you're currently standing in your command line, you enter the pwd command. It's going to tell you where you are currently. So this is where we are now, HP. So our next command that I want us to take note of is called the ls. The ls command, which stands for lists. That is to list everything that is inside the working directory that we are now, that we're standing in. That is, it's listing everything inside HP. pasting everything inside HP. Then our next command will be something very important called cd, which is called change directory. You can use cd to change directory into any of these directories. So let's go ahead and cd into something like desktop. Let's cd into desktop. As you can see, we have entered our desktop. Let's print our working directory now. As you can see, we are no more inside HP. We are now inside our desktop. So this is the use of the change directory command, the cd command. So let's go ahead and cd out of our desktop, and then we're going to list, but this time we're not doing a normal list. We're listing everything that is inside our HP plus ls-a. That is, we're listing everything inside our HP directory plus hidden folders. This -a stands for hidden folders. So when you hit enter, it's going to list out every single thing inside this directory. As you can see, all these files that start with dots, they are all hidden files. They are not meant to be seen by normal users. So when we made use of this, our ls-a, it brought each and every one of them out. If you check our first ls, you see when we listed, it didn't come out, it didn't show us anything like that. But when we made use of our ls-a, our list hidden directories, list hidden files, it brought out all the hidden files. It listed out all of them. So that is the use of our ls-a directory. So let's see into our desktop. So remember this, our command ls, pwd, and cd. There are three basic commands that you need to know. Just have them at the back of your mind. Even if you forget other commands, don't forget these commands because they are very, very important. So the next thing I want us to do is, let's learn how we can copy files and paste files. How we can create a file, copy it and paste it, or move a file to another folder, move a file from one folder to another using our shell. We are using our shell to navigate from one file to another, just to jump from one file to another, move one file to this directory, copy one file from this directory to another directory. Let's go ahead and see how that is done. First off, we want to enter a command to create a new directory. And to create a new directory, we use our make directory command, followed by the name of the directory we want to create. Let's say we want to use shell tut. Let's complete that. Shell tutorials. Then we have successfully created our shell tutorials directory inside our desktop. As you can see, if we go ahead and look at this, our listing, there's nothing like shell tutorials here. But if we go ahead and list now, remember we seeded into our desktop. We're no more in our HP. So now we're inside our desktop. And when you list shell tutorials, we've created it. It has already been created and it's now on our desktop. We can go ahead and look at it here. As you can see, shell tutorials, we just created this now. If we open it up, you can see it's an empty folder. So now we're going to create some files inside this our shell tutorials. So let's seed into our shell tutorials. Now we're inside our shell tutorials. print your working directory to know whether you successfully entered it. As you can see, we're in our shell tutorials. So now we're going to create a file called, we're going to create a file. How do you create a file? Using your bash terminal. You make use of the touch command. I want to create shell 1. I want to create another file, shell 2. Now, I've successfully created shell 1 and shell 2. Let's go ahead and look at our shell directory. As you can see, inside our shell tutorials, we have shell 1 and shell 2. And we go ahead and open up shell 1. Let's make use of our notepad. Open up shell 1. It does not have anything stored inside it. There's nothing inside shell 1. So we want to write something inside this our shell 1. We want to write something in our shell 1. So let's go ahead and do that right now. To write, there are two ways that I know of that you can use to write into a file. The first way is you can use your echo command. The second way is making use of the vi or emacs editor or vim editor. So we're going to be making use of, okay, let's make use of our echo command for our shell 1 and our vi command and our vi editor for our shell 2. I'm going to write stuffs into both files. So let's go ahead with our echo command. We're going to echo let's echo something. Let's say I love coding. Now we're going to echo I love coding into our shell 1. Then we hit our enter. You can see nothing happened. So to know that, to check if what you have done is correct, what you have done was successful, you can use your cat command. If you list now ls, you see we only have our shell 1 and shell 2. You can use your cat command to check what we wrote inside our shell 1, whether our echo was correct. So we're going to use our cat command shell 1. Shell 1. As you can see, I love coding. It was written successfully into our shell 1. So now we're going to use our vi editor to write something into shell 2. Now, once you've opened up your vi editor, the next thing you want to do is to go into insert mode, because as it is like this, you cannot do anything. You can't do anything, basically. You cannot do anything. So you have to press your I button, your I command, to go into insert mode. Then while you're in insert mode, you're free to type anything you want to type. So what do you want to write in our shell 2? Let's write I love tech. Then to go out of vi mode, to escape vi mode, you just hit your escape button and enter this command to go back. Then as you can see, we're back here. Now if we ls list, you can see we still have our shell 1 and shell 2. If we use our cat command to look into our shell 2, as you can see, we have successfully written I love tech into our shell 2. So let's go ahead and look at our files. Open it up with our notepad. As you can see, straight from our git bash terminal, it appeared inside our shell 1, and if you open up your shell 2, I love tech, straight from our GitBash terminal. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to learn how we can copy one file from one directory to another. So let's go ahead and cd out of shell tutorials. Now we list inside desktop. As you can see, we have our shell tutorials here. So we're going to make a new directory. What do we call this? Shell tutor. Okay, this is our new directory, and then now we list our desktop. You can see we have our shell tutorials and our shell tutor. Open it up. As you can see, our shell tutor is right here. Okay guys, so now we're going to be learning about our commands for copy and paste, how we can move files from one directory to another, and how we can delete files and directories. So the first thing we want to do now, as you can see, we're in our desktop now. So remember your pwd command to check the working directory you're currently standing in. As you can see, we're in our desktop. So we're going to go ahead and list. Then we have our shell tutorials and our shell tutor. Okay, let's try and move our shell tutor into our shell tutorials. Now to do that, we make use of our move command. That is, we want to move our shell tutorials. So we want to move our shell tutor into our shell tutorials. Go ahead and hit enter. Then we'll go ahead and list again ls. As you can see, our shell tutor is no longer here. And let's seed into our shell tutorials to see how many files we have in them, and to seed into our shell tutorials. Then I'm going to go ahead and list. As you can see, our shell tutor has been successfully moved into our shell tutorials. So now let's seed into our shell tutor first time. Okay, let's go ahead and look at it on our desktop. Shell tutorials. As you can see, this is our shell tutor. We moved it inside our shell tutorials. Let's go ahead and open it up. The file is still empty. Okay, now we want to copy shell 1 into shell tutor. So to copy, you have to enter this command cp. We want to copy shell 1 into our shell tutor. We're copying shell 1 into our shell tutor, just like copy and paste, and you hit your enter. Then you list our shell 1 is still here. Let's cd into our shell tutor. Then list. As you can see, inside our shell tutor, we now have a new shell 1. Let's go ahead and look at that on our desktop. Open this up, shell tutor. As you can see, we have a shell 1, and if you open this shell 1 up, as you can see, it's the same thing. I love coding. We just copied it and pasted it here. So the next thing we'll do now is, okay, let's cd out of this directory first of all. We're inside our shell tutorials now, pwd. We're inside our shell tutorials. Now we're going to go ahead and list. We have shell 1, shell 2, and shell tutor. Now I want us to move our shell 2 into our shell tutor. So it will now be shell 1 and shell 2 inside shell tutor, and only shell 1 inside shell tutorials. So to do that, we'll enter this command move. Remember your move command, move shell 2 into our shell tutor. I'll go ahead and list. As you can see, we only have our shell 1 here. Let's cd into our shell tutor and see. Then we list. As you can see, inside our shell tutor we have shell 1 and shell 2. So I've successfully moved it from our shell tutorials to our shell tutor. So that is that for copy, paste, and moving of files from one directory to another. So the next thing we want to do now is, let's say we want to delete a file now. I want to delete a file. Let's see out of this first. Okay. Let's say we want to delete a file. We want to delete our shell 1. To delete our shell 1, we use the command remove shell 1. Then go ahead and list. As you can see, our shell 1 is no longer here. But can we use the same command we used to delete a file to delete a directory? Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's try and remove shell tutor. As you can see, it says cannot remove shell tutor. It's a directory. Shell tutor is a directory. Cannot remove shell tutor is a directory. So to find your way around this, we have to make use of our recursive command. That is our rm-r, then shell tutor, then hit the enter button, then ls to list. As you can see, our shell tutor is no longer here. Let's go ahead and look for it in here. As you can see, everything is empty. I've deleted both our shell 1 and our shell tutor, which carried our shell 1 and shell 2. So that is that about the basic shell navigation commands. So just have this at the back of your mind, some shortcuts whenever you're operating your terminal. Let's just clear this. Remember our clear command to clear your terminal. If it's a bit messy, you can just clear to just create some space so you can work on. Let's say you're running a couple of processes on your shell. Let's say you're running a local host on your shell, on your command prompt, and you want to end the process. You want to stop it from running. The best way to do that is to terminate it using a keyboard shortcut called Ctrl+C. Ctrl+C is going to stop every process that is running in the background. Then we make use of another keyboard shortcut called Ctrl+L. That is the same thing as this command clear. Ctrl+L clears your shell, it clears your terminal. Ctrl+L clears, just is the same thing as the command clear. It's just a keyboard shortcut. And then your Ctrl+D, it closes up your terminal. Ctrl+D, as you can see, it closed up our terminal. So that is that for shell navigation basics. Please, if you found this video helpful, kindly hit the subscribe button and like this video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.